Please join me in welcoming to the stage our distinguished panelists, Mohamed Juma Bawardi, the CEO of EMDAD. Along with him is engineer Ahmed Dhaheri, the CEO of NMDC Energy, and Hugo Losada, CEO of Emirates Cement, part of EMSTEEL Group, and of course your moderator, Hojeij, a senior business news presenter at Asharq Business with Bloomberg.
Thank you. Yeah, marhaba.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hojeij, senior business anchor at Asharq with Bloomberg, and I will be moderating this panel. Across the region, heavy industries, once considered hard to abate, are now at the heart of the climate transition. In fact, according to the International Energy Agency, industrial sectors account for around 38% of global CO2 emissions. But with the right mix of technology, policy, and innovation, that number could fall by nearly 60% by 2050. Today, we will explore how industry leaders are turning carbon responsibility into real-world action, driving efficiency, innovation, and growth that aligns with national net zero goals. I will reintroduce my guests very, very quickly. Mr. Mohamed Juma Ahmed Bawardi AlFalasi, CEO of EMDAD, welcome. Leading industrial solutions, providing at the forefront of carbon capture and hydrogen partnerships. Engineer Ahmed Dhaheri, CEO of NMDC Energy, shaping large-scale infrastructure and offshore energy transformation projects. And Mr. Hugo Losada, CEO of Emirates Cement, part of EMSTEEL Group, driving circular innovation in construction materials. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I will start with you, Mr. Mohamed. Heavy industries are often seen as difficult to decarbonize, yet EMDAD is actively investing in carbon capture and hydrogen. From your perspective, how can strategic global partnerships accelerate the UAE's shift towards net zero by 2050?
I mean, for the goal itself, it's a very challenging yet achievable goal. And with that specifically, strategic partnerships works in overcoming the barriers, specifically in somewhat pooling the risks and pooling the resources and sharing the risks as well, in addition to benefiting from the complementary strengths. And with EMDAD specifically, we act as a global partner to where we don't specialize in-house, yet we provide the solutions and we somewhat act as a O&M partner. And with that, you know, we act as a hub as well to attract best-in-class green technologies and solutions for sustainability.
So you're looking for partners internally and externally. You partner on a global perspective?
Yeah, global partnerships, yes. Okay. And just to give you an example, you know, looking at the specific green technologies that you mentioned, you know, we have a global partner called Interflex from Canada. And they somewhat produce green and blue hydrogen through their gas processing facilities and technologies. And they produce green hydrogen with renewable electrolysis, as well as within their processes of CCUS, which is carbon capture, utilization, and storage. They also produce blue hydrogen from the carbon that is captured.
Engineer Ahmed, from your experience at NMDC Energy, what are the most impactful pathways for industrial sectors like energy and infrastructure to reduce emissions and stay efficient and profitable?
Thank you very much for inviting me to participate at this important summit. Of course, I have to say that UAE has been always a global leader in sustainability. And this is really a vision of our leadership. And we're trying to make it happen. This is what really drives us to come up with initiatives and to come up with new projects. Of course, it's a national ambition. And we are working together here with our partners to turn it into action, which is really important. What I have to say here is every project, whether it is traditional energy or clean energy would be requiring partnerships and would be able to minimize low carbon intensity as much as possible. And this is something that we have seen in a number of projects. I will give a few examples. One of the projects executed by ADNOC, Ruwais LNG, to produce 9.6 million tons of LNG. This is a project that is considered to be one of the lowest carbon intensity worldwide.
Okay, in the UAE.
In the UAE. And we are really part of the execution of this project. It is being driven by electrically powered compressors, which is powered by clean nuclear energy. So this really makes it one of the lowest carbon intensity. But also there are plenty of examples. I will give another example, which is a project that we have worked on, the front-end engineering design in Malaysia for Petronas to capture 3.7 million tons of CO2. And this is considered to be the largest offshore project of its nature. And this means that you are somehow equivalent to 90 million trees.
90 billion.
90 million trees, what they can absorb. So there are plenty of examples here in front of us that shows the capability of such projects. Of course, you talked about heavy industries, and we are into heavy industries, but you can always look at how you minimize your carbon footprint. Okay. So we are in a journey to electrify and transform our operations. So this really is going to enable us to reduce our emissions from 30 to 40% in 3 years' time.
In 3 years?
Yes.
So by 2050, we will be almost achieving the net zero target.
We are progressing steadily to achieve this target.
So these, when we talk about these numbers, we talk about the difficult truth, Hugo, that cement and steel contribute to almost 15% of global CO2 emissions by the numbers set by the World Bank 2023. How can solutions like what we heard today, like green hydrogen, like electric arc furnaces, redefine sectors that are so heavy on carbon emissions like yours and drive sustainable growth?
Well, thank you, Maya, and well, thank you to my panelists for basically setting the stage for what we're actually doing in EMSTEEL in the last few years, because this, as you mentioned, has been a tremendous challenge. We contribute to around 15% as an industry in terms of cement and steel of all the emissions worldwide. So from the beginning, it was seen by both industries as something that needed to be achieved before even the target set by the multinational or the multilateral organisms. Luckily, the UAE acted really fast and went for the Paris Agreement, went for our own NDC, our own legislation to support. And we have been leading the way as EMSTEEL in terms of carbon capture, together with the Al Riyadh project with ADNOC, capturing 800,000 tons of CO2 per year, and also with the first electrolyzer for the steel industry in the region. We are also doing now we announced a few months ago the first net zero mosque in the UAE together with Aldar. And Mohamed, you mentioned something a key word there, which is partnerships. And you mentioned Aldar, but also ADNOC, and other companies in the whole ecosystem of not only the UAE but worldwide. And those partnerships are key if we want to really go into and meet those targets. That at the moment we are way ahead of the 2040 ambition of 40% reduction. We are at 36% at the moment, with still 4 years to go. But really our eye is in 2050. That's where the challenge really lies.
To achieve what you want to achieve by 2050. So if we, we would say the carbon footprint is the big elephant in the room when we're talking about sustainability and moving towards the future. But the bigger elephant today is AI and technology and how it is being implemented and affecting these industries. So, Mr. Mohamed, let me ask you about AI-driven monitoring and carbon trading platforms. Do you see technology as equalizing heavy industries into and turning them into models for climate smart competitiveness?
With that specifically, Her Excellency Dr. Amna also mentioned the systems that somewhat are central to this pathway of transition, which is basically the MRV systems, which translates to monitoring, reporting, and verifying. And with that, I think it's somewhat of a three-phased approach, and looking at the partners within the EMDAD ecosystem specifically. To start off with, organizations have to start with the compliance and accreditation. And with that, we have a global partner leading in sustainability that is called ERM, Environmental Resource Management. And what they do exactly is that they do EHS consultancy, as well as audits for the accreditations themselves. And that's as phase one to equip the companies in order for us to move into the next phase, which is digital monitoring and data aggregation. And within this phase specifically also, it'll be able to equip basically the assets within the facilities and the oil and gas infrastructure itself with sensors to be able to detect and somewhat correspond that data to a centralized location.
Okay.
To give you an example, we have a company called Hyber that basically has sensors that are placed in inactive wells to where it somewhat detects the leakage of methane.
Okay.
And, you know, because over time, the wells tend to degrade and sometimes vulnerabilities arise. And the methane,
gas pockets, I think, right?
no, it's within the well itself. Once it's shut, you know, it degrades over time. And sometimes you have methane that leaks out of that. And then moving on to the data aggregation in order for the company to be able to somewhat put that into machine learning and get some insightful information, we move on to the third phase, which is data analytics and somewhat of management systems. And in that specifically, once all the information is aggregated, you know, a part of us as well, one of the notable companies is under the well-known General Electric. And the company or the specific subsidiary is called GE Vernova. And with that, they recently introduced an AI-powered carbon emissions management software that would be able to analyze, you know, the information that is coming so that we can transition into a more measurable and impactful energy transition phase.
So that is the measuring and the technology is one sector. Also, the strive for engineering excellence also, we were also talking about it even, I mean, you did mention it now and we were talking about it before. How can this innovation in engineering and this planning help in delivering cleaner and more resilient systems across the board, across the region and in all the industries?
Of course, when it comes to AI, it is really something that we are today experiencing as we go. And we have applied it in engineering as well, as you rightly mentioned. And we saw how powerful it is. I'll give you an example. For pipeline stability analysis, we usually have more than 10 engineers working on it for 2 weeks. And now with the adoption of AI, it can be done in half an hour.
Okay.
So this is how powerful it is. But apart from AI, I would like really to talk about how we are enabling our engineering capabilities and how we are developing these capabilities for the future energy. And this is something that we embarked on in 2022 when we decided to focus on energy transition. So yes, traditional energy is very important to us, and we are trying to make it as cleaner as possible. However, we are enabling the company to be able to execute CO2 projects, hydrogen projects in the future. And we have done already some of these important projects. Some of them can be used by different industries.
Okay.
So just like cement industry, which is called a canopy 1.5. These are two 40-foot containers that can really be installed, and it can help these industries to capture 1.5 million tons a year. So such small solutions can really enable industries to minimize their carbon footprint. But in addition to that, we entered into a collaboration with a company called John Cockrell for electrolyzers. And they are doing now today electrolyzers of 5 megawatt each. So this sort of technology is very important to enable the projects that were announced around 100 megawatt to take place. And we are really preparing ourselves for the next era.
Getting ready for the next era. How can such innovations, like the ones mentioned, and other innovations that you are also undertaking, be scaled regionally to achieve emission cuts and cost efficiency?
Well, thank you. And yeah, definitely innovation is a big part of what we're trying to do as a whole industry, or for both steel and cement. We see that, well, the role of AI really, or the impact of AI started to be seen way before we started seeing the large language models that now we are using in our phones today. We started using machine learning 10, 20 years ago, and the data gathering has only sped up over the last 5 years. The sensors, the cost of the sensors have dropped, new technologies have come in, things that before were very prohibitive in terms of cost. Simple things like solar panels now are very cheap and affordable. And one important thing is, as important as AI, in the way I see it, is blockchain. Because the chain of custodianship of the true emissions of any industry, of any product, needs to be really transparent and visualized by the whole
Is it industry. So far, or is it getting there?
That is getting there.
Okay.
I mean, we launched last month our True Green project, which is basically trying to provide full transparency over our emissions, and eventually will lead to the full chain of custodianship and full EPDs for all of our products, which are already in place.
So we don't have a lot of time remaining. So for my final question, I'm going to ask all three of you this question, but I want to do it in a different way. So I want you to imagine with me a white canvas that says UAE 2050, and from a perspective of policy, technology, or collaboration, if you were to paint something on this canvas, what would you paint? Let's start with you, Mr. Mohamed.
I mean, with that specifically, it's every component, you know, within either policy, technology, you know, or the other third one that you mentioned is
policy, technology, innovation,
yeah,
collaboration, partnership.
And partnership as well. I think all of them would have to be painted within that you know, canvas in equal measure.
Okay.
Because they all have to somewhat speak in unison and be able to, you know, work in parallel as well. So each message.
So you would paint them in the same size on the canvas.
Yes, to give all equal importance.
Engineer Ahmed, what would you paint? Would you add to it?
Well, I would say I would focus a lot on partnerships. So looking at companies working together to achieve our ultimate goal, because we cannot do it ourselves.
So if we look at what Mr. Ahmed printed, the three pillars, and then you are joining them together in partnerships, what would you add to the picture?
Well, I think one impressive sight in the UAE is the dawns, the sun rising. So I will put a sun just as the guiding star that the UAE, I think, represents and will represent in the future in terms of sustainability, in terms of being an example of a green transition.
And because I've been living in the UAE for over 40 years, I would add to that painting talent and the people of the UAE, because I have seen them rise from children at schools to leaders around the world, and I think this is where we are going with sustainability. Thank you very much for joining me today and for being with us on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya.
Right, thank you so much, Maya, and to our incredible panelists for that inspiring discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now take a break for lunch. We hope you take this opportunity to network and get to know each other. And if you haven't, please do download our Forbes Middle East events app, and don't forget to connect with us on social media. We'll see you back here at 2:30 p.m. Thank you again.